Hey, it's that time again, Tuesday Talks time. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I'm glad that you're taking time to educate yourself on sustainable, healthy weight loss. So congrats for that. That's amazing that you're taking time to just listen to this, and hopefully it will give you a little bit more information that you know to have successful, healthy weight loss and weight loss, just a new lifestyle, a new understanding that takes you into the rest of your life. Get rid of that yo-yo dieting, get rid of that, extreme restriction and bouncing back and forth and not knowing what to do. That's why I do this, because the more educated you are and the more you can weave all this stuff into your lifestyle, it just becomes a part of how you live, and you're not finding yourself bouncing back and forth and trying to figure out what to do anymore. So glad you're here. So macros. Today we're talking about macros. What the heck are macros and why do we care, right? Okay. I'm sure, if you've been anywhere near social media, Instagram, anything lately, you've heard the term macros, and you may or may not know about it. You may be here and you're like, I just need to brush up on what they really are. You may be here saying, I know nothing about macros. So we're going to start from the beginning and break it down, and then we're going to move into why the heck does that matter? Why should I know about these things? So it is important, so stick around because I will explain why. But let's start out with the very basic of what are macros, okay? So macros is just a shortened term for macronutrients, and they are the three main building blocks of your energy sources that you put into your body. So that's protein, carbs, and fats, okay? And they are versus micronutrients, which is all your vitamins and iron and fiber and all that stuff. Those are micronutrients that make up all those. So the macros are the big building blocks. They're what we live off of, right? They're what give us our energy so that we can live. The problem is that our culture has become so unbalanced with these in our eating that it causes everyone to gain excess weight because so much of our food is not properly balanced with these macros. It's very, very heavy in fat. It's very low. It has low satiating qualities, so it's not filling you up as much, so it's leaving you feeling hungry. And so much of our culture, we're surrounded by it, right? Restaurants where we're eating out, even healthy foods that are termed healthy, they may have healthy ingredients in them, but they are not balanced properly with macros. So you could easily be eating all the healthy foods, which is where I was. That's another Tuesday Talks I did when I talked about my story. So go there and hear about it. But I was eating all the healthy stuff too and could not lose weight. So it wasn't until I figured out how to balance these macros properly and learned about them that it really helped me lose that unwanted weight and have more energy, build more muscle, feel so much better, enjoy food more, find food freedom, like so much. This is such a great tool. And it's important to remember that learning and knowing about macros and using them to lose weight is a tool, right? It's an important tool. So it's a very, very helpful tool. Just like if you were building a house, you probably really, really want a hammer. Now, are you going to use the hammer for every single part of building that house? No, you're not. But you're probably going to want one because there's going to be a lot of nails. You're going to want a hammer in. You're going to want that hammer. Or I guess it could be a nail gun, I guess. But you get my point, right? It's a really important tool that you want in your tool belt to be able to be a part of your whole education. So let's break them down a little bit. So like I said, there's fats, carbohydrates, and protein. Let's start with protein because everybody's hearing all the time, right? Eat more protein, eat more protein. Why? Why do we need to eat more protein? Well, first of all, it's probably the most satiating macro. So it's the one that's going to help fill you up the most and leave you feeling full longer, okay? This is why when you have that latte in the morning with maybe one hard-boiled egg, yeah, I see you, if that's what you do, it's an awful lot of calories because some of those latte drinks have a ton of calories in them, and you think, oh, I'll throw an egg in for protein, which one egg is not enough protein. It's why an hour later you're starving and you're super hungry and you're looking around for something else to eat. So even though you had a lot of calories, it wasn't satiating enough. It didn't give your body enough to process. It burned through that and it was like, hey, I'm ready for more, right? So that's one of the main reasons that it's encouraged so much, because it's going to help you be able to eat less because you're not going to be feeling hungry all the time. It's also one of the biggest building blocks in gaining muscle. And we all know that as we're getting older, we're losing muscle just naturally. That's part of life. So if you're not working to either gain it or keep it, you are losing it. And protein is a huge part of that. So that's one of the reasons why women in their 40s have this shift in their bodies that they're so confused about. Like, why am I gaining weight that I've never gained before? Why is it going in places I've never seen it before? Why can I not lose this weight? I'm eating the same like I did before. Like everything, it's confusing to them, right? And that's one of the main reasons, is because they're gradually losing that muscle, and that muscle is not, your body is shifting shape and it's not burning as many calories because you're losing that muscle. So that's a whole nother one too. I have a lot of Tuesday talks on building muscle as well. So protein is going to be a huge part of that, and making sure that you get enough of that to build muscle. Okay, let's go on to the next one, carbohydrates. They are not the enemy, right? Carbs give you energy. The problem is that most carbs are wrapped up into very highly processed food that's very easy to overeat. So that's kind of the thing that comes with carbs, is this like this label that carbs are bad. They're not bad. It's just that most of them are made to be overconsumed, right? So like we've all been there where we're sitting at dinner and we've got a basket of salty tortilla chips in front of us, and how easy is it to blow through that whole thing? So then people go, oh, well, carbs are really bad. No, they're not bad. They're just easy to overconsume, right? So if that entire basket had been full of broccoli, or if it had been full of like fresh grilled chicken chunks, which is protein, you may have had a couple, but it wouldn't be as easy to sit there and just eat the entire basket, right? So that's the part of carbs that you have to be careful with. I mean, carbs can also come in the form of cookies and desserts and all these things that are so easy to overconsume. So make sure that you're not demonizing carbs. Make sure that you're understanding that there are there's a lot of really important carbs that are really good for your body, and you need them. You need them for energy. You need them to build muscle. You need them for brain function, but you don't want to overdo it, right? So you just have to understand and keep your diet around healthier carbs. I was, before all of this, a little bit of my backstory again, as I was eating paleo. And as a lot of people know, there's not a lot of carbs in paleo, because I definitely was on that train of carbs are bad. And I could not believe once I switched over, I had hired a coach and she started, upping my carb intake, and I was terrified. I was, I'm going to gain all this weight, and kept pushing back, telling her I'm not going to do it. And then I did it, and I could not believe the energy that went up, and my workouts, like how much more energy I had for my workouts and my lifts, which then as a result, I'm now being able to lift more and heavier, therefore gaining more muscle, because I have the energy to do it and do it properly. Or in another sense, I have the energy to go on more walks during the day, which is keeping me moving and keeping me healthy, because it's keeping that energy level up. It can also be really helpful with sleep. If you have trouble with sleeping and you try eating like a healthy carb before dinner, or not before dinner, sorry, before bed, it can be really helpful to help you sleep better too. So keep that in mind with carbs. Don't demonize them. And then of course, fats are just everywhere, right? I mean, it's super, super easy to overconsume fats, because that's how our culture is. We just, not only is it everywhere in like salad dressings, and in everything we cook has butter and oil in it, and cheese and all that, right? Like, it's so easy to overconsume fat. Again, going back to that, even if you're eating healthy, right? Like, you're having avocado toast in the morning. There's nothing wrong with avocado toast, but avocado is very, very high in fat. So you could be thinking, I should be losing weight because I'm eating this healthy stuff, but you're also consuming a ton of fat. Now, here's where I want to back up a little bit and explain why knowing the balance between these is important and how this can help. So follow me with math really quick. It's really, really simple. If you can remember 4, 4, and 9. Okay, 4, 4, 9. Just 3 numbers. I know, we're getting older, perimenopause. It's hard to remember things. Okay, so 4, 4, 9 is what I want you to remember. Okay, carbohydrates and protein each have 4 calories per gram. Okay, so protein and carbs are the 4, 4. Those first 2 I talked about. The last one, fat, is 9 calories per gram. That's over double the amount of calories per gram that carbs and protein have. So if you think about that, you can consume over twice as many, more than twice as many grams of protein and carbs as fat and still be eating less calories. So why is that important? Because at the end of the day, if you are trying to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. This is what's called a cut. I've done a Tuesday Talks on this too. So if you want to be in a calorie deficit, you need to be tracking how many calories you're eating. And you also need to know where to start with those calories, which is maintenance. Where are you at maintenance? That means how many calories does your body need to survive at its weight, at the same weight every day? What are you eating? And then after you know what that is, you lower that, you go into a calorie deficit. So here's the thing, if you're not understanding the macronutrients in their breakdown, it's really easy for those calories to add up, right? All you have to do is put, a tablespoon in your pan before you cook your fish at night of olive oil, and all of a sudden, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is over 100 calories because of that 9 number, right? So now all of a sudden you went from a very low calorie dinner, which could be fish and vegetables. Now it's actually a very high calorie dinner. And that's where people start getting confused with this, but I eat healthy. But you're still consuming extra calories that your body doesn't need. Now, are fats bad? No, they're not bad. We actually really need them. They're very healthy for us. But here's the tricky part, right? Is that we went through this phase. When did it start? Like 10 years ago, where it was like fat became like this, you need fat, right? And so people, you guys remember this? People started putting like butter in their coffee, and this is where the avocado toast became really popular. And like, it was like making fats, like we need fats. We do need fats. We don't need nearly as much fat as most people eat. That's the misconception, is that everybody thinks, oh, we need fat. Okay, but that does not mean we need to be eating all this olive oil and all this avocado and all this peanut butter and all these nuts and getting all this fat in. You're going to gain weight. I did paleo. I was eating tons of nuts. I was eating all the fats, totally gaining weight. So it's important to understand that, yes, we need it, but it's not something you need to worry about, because we definitely get enough of it in our diet and culture, for sure. It is not anything you need to go out of your way to make sure you're getting your fats in. I guarantee it. If you ever started tracking your food, or if you've tracked your food in the past and really paid attention to every single little thing of salad dressing and sprays and oils and butters and all that stuff that we use all day long, or even just go eat a meal out, right? I remember when I was on vacation over the summer, I went to a hamburger place called The Habit, and I had never been there before. And I was looking obviously for something that was like a little lower calorie, because I know eating out, the calories just add up like crazy. And they have their calories listed on each of their sandwiches and each of their burgers. Most of them are burgers. And I could not believe, so I was looking at a chicken teriyaki sandwich. Okay, we're talking like a breast of chicken, a roll, I think there was cheese on it. So in my head, because I'm so good with this stuff, I usually can kind of guess like about how many calories it's going to be. And it was so I estimated, including probably the fact that there's oil in the chicken and butter on the bread, right? I was like, yeah, it's probably going to be like an 800 calorie sandwich, like crazy, right? Because the sandwich is like this big, 800 calories. I looked at the thing and it was listed as 1,200 calories. 1,200 calories for one sandwich. It was insane. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's so, like, if somebody came here and the calories weren't listed, they would probably like calculate that in their mind and they would go, okay, the bread, the chicken, the cheese, that's probably, 500-600 calories. 1,200 calories. That's crazy, you guys. You know why? Because they put a ton of butter on the bread. The cheese adds up super fast. The oil that they cook all the meat in to make it taste really, really good, which by the way, it tasted really, really good. It was very good. And then of course, any sauces that they put on those breads, those add up so fast. So you're thinking, Guy, I'm going out, I'm picking the right meals, I'm eating healthy. Why am I not losing this weight? I don't get it, right? I'm sacrificing all this stuff. Well, I could easily make a huge lunch at home for myself, which I do every day. This was on vacation. I usually make like a huge bowl of some type of protein. One of my favorite ones is to make like a ground turkey. And I usually put like fajita or taco seasoning on it, right? And I use a really lean meat. And then I just cook up a ton of vegetables with a ton of seasoning on it and literally no oils or anything, just a ton of seasoning. That entire big bowl of meat and vegetables, which by the way, I love. It tastes very, very good. And it's so nutrient dense, right? Now I've got all my micronutrients and all my vegetables and a ton of protein, is 130 calories. 130 calories for a massive thing like that. And the way I can understand all that is because I understand the macro breakdown and what calories are in what and how they add up so quickly. So now I've turned this into, this is actually probably going to keep me full because it's this massive bowl of food. And that sandwich, although it was very, very tasty, and I'm not opposed to doing that once in a while, but if that's what you're doing all the time, you're going to be really, really frustrated with why you can't lose weight because you don't have the understanding of this breakdown. So now you see how helpful that macros can be, the understanding of them. So helpful in understanding. If you feel like this is something that you would love to pursue a little bit more, just send me a message and I'd love to hop on a phone call with you and talk you through what it looks like to find your maintenance numbers and then what it looks like to track your meals for a few days to figure out where all those extra calories are coming from. And then all you have to do is start making small tweaks to the meals that you're already eating, right? So like, let's take that sandwich at the Habit, for example. Now, again, I wouldn't encourage you to do this every day, but this is an example of what I did so that I can enjoy it, but totally switch the macros around, okay? So I ditched the cheese on it, and I know the cheese is the best part. It is until it's not, because if you get used to not having cheese, you will not miss it. I guarantee it. I asked for sauce on the side. And then what I did, it had this huge bun on it. And of course, you know how whenever you get a sandwich out, like the bun is way more massive and the meat is smaller. So what I did is I took part of the bun off and I cut the bottom part of the bun and it actually fit better. And then I was getting rid of half of that and half of the butter on that bun and all that stuff. So now it's still a kind of a high calorie meal, but I just went from having 1,200 calories to probably like more close to 700 or 600 calories, probably cutting it in half by doing that. So just making these small tweaks allows you to still have this food, but you're understanding where all those calories are coming from and can really start to cut back in all of your meals throughout the day. Even if you kept the cheese on and made the sauce on the side or something like that, little small tweaks to each meal can really add up. If you made small tweaks in your macros to each meal throughout the day, you could easily be saving yourself like 100, 150 calories each meal. And all of a sudden you're down 450 calories and you're losing weight. it's really simple. So you're not looking to completely flip your life upside down to be eating all new foods, right? You just keep tweaking until you find the food you love, but the right balance of those macros in there. So again, if you would like help looking at this more or understanding this more, shoot me a message. I will hop on a free call with you, a free consultation. We will talk through what it looks to change your numbers around and help you lose that unwanted weight. I hope this was helpful for you. As always, I'm cheering you all on in your health and fitness journeys, and I am here to support you and answer any questions you need. I'll see you next week.